Merci, merci, merci. Thank you, thank you. Oh, well, merci, merci, merci.
Nous allons parler en français et
Pierre Otchon va traduire.
voilà, on va traduire. Écoute, je vais poser la première question. Comment tu es arrivé au cinéma? Je voudrais qu'on montre une affiche que Martin a dessinée quand il était vraiment très très jeune, quoi, 11 ans, je crois, 12 ans.
Oh, that's a film. It's not a poster. It's frame by frame.
C'est pas une affiche, c'est un storyboard.
Alors, si vous allez au musée, il faut avoir l'exposition, il faut avoir cette affiche de près, parce que le nom qu'il proposait pour cette affiche de film, qui était supposé d'être producteur, metteur en scène, écrivain et tout, il a un casting absolument formidable. Il y a Marlon Brando, il y a Paul Newman, enfin tous les acteurs de Hollywood, il y a une vingtaine d'acteurs pour les petits et les grands rôles, bien sûr. Même pour la figuration, il y a des grands personnages. Alors, comment tu as commencé? Comment tu es venu au cinéma? C'est ça, je pense, qui intéresse beaucoup de monde.
How did I start out with movies?
Why did you become a director?
Having certainly being separate from the other children my age because of severe asthma, I was taken to movie theater a great deal by my parents, and then later by myself and my friends. And so film became movies became something that was as real as the life around me in the streets where I was growing up.
J'étais très asthmatique et donc mes parents m'emmenaient très souvent au cinéma. Plus tard, j'y allais seul ou avec mes amis et le cinéma était aussi réel pour moi que ce que je voyais dans les rues autour de chez moi.
Working class family that was not in the tradition of reading.
Une famille ouvrière qui n'avait pas l'habitude de lire.
So everything was visual and music.
Donc ce qui comptait, c'était les images et la musique.
And the reading I had to start by myself. I found it very difficult for many years.
J'ai dû apprendre à lire tout seul et j'ai trouvé ça très difficile pendant de nombreuses années.
I guess what I'm trying to cut to is the fact that I was very emotionally and passionate about what was going on around me and my family and in the world around me, and I felt I had to construct a way of expressing it, and the only way I knew how was with movies.
J'étais très passionnément impliqué, je crois, c'est ça, dans la vie de ma famille, dans tout ce qui se passait autour. Et il m'a fallu, j'éprouvais le besoin de trouver un moyen d'expression. Et pour moi, c'était le cinéma.
And there's been this split, in a way, that movies represented to me the big spectacles or wonderful westerns and musicals. But when it came time to actually make a film or express myself on film, it was more towards Ilya Kazan on the waterfront. Yeah, that's it.
Il y avait un grand clivage, je crois, parce qu'à l'époque, ce que j'aimais, c'était les westerns, les peplums, les grands spectacles, les comédies musicales. Et en même temps, quand je me suis mis à faire du cinéma, ce qui comptait, c'était Elia Kazan sur les quais.
But the key element, now there were several things that happened, one of which was also being involved with a priest, a young priest, whose first parish was our parish in St. Patrick's.
Une figure clé des débuts était un jeune curé. Nous étions sa première paroisse.
And he taught us a lot about, gave us novels to read, gave us Graham Greene. I found James Joyce. He gave us intellectuals like Dwight MacDonald, also cinema, theater, music, and also a way to live in those streets that you didn't have to, as he said to us, you don't have to live like this.
Donc, il nous a cultivés, il nous a donné les romans de Graham Greene, des textes intellectuels comme Dwight MacDonald. Moi, de mon côté, j'ai découvert James Joyce. C'est lui qui nous a montré les rues et nous a dit « Vous n'êtes pas obligés de vivre comme ça ».
So, long story short, basically, I wanted to be like him. I went to a preparatory seminary and immediately realized I did not have a vocation.
Et donc, pour faire bref, je suis entré au séminaire, je me suis aperçu que je n'avais pas de vocation.
My parents were very, very patient. Went to a Catholic high school, and at that time, the Catholic high school was 1956, 57, rock and roll. It was amazing time. The cinema was exploding everywhere, you know? And at the same time, as foreign films were being seen in theaters everywhere around the country, whether it was Swedish, French, Le Beau Serge was 1959, I think. This was the time where different kinds of films were being made. Even though I was fascinated by the epics or the bigger Hollywood pictures, when I saw Shadows, Cassavetes' Shadows, then I understood, yeah.
Donc c'était un moment incroyable d'être dans un lycée catholique. Il y avait le rock and roll qui était partout et le cinéma explosait. En particulier, nous voyions pour la première fois peut-être beaucoup de films étrangers, des films suédois, des films français comme Le Beau Serge qui date de 59. Et même si moi je rêvais de faire des films comme ça, quand j'ai vu Shadows de Cassavetes, c'était un gros impact.
And what I mean by Shadows showed the way was that the only way to make films in America was to go to California and be in Hollywood. Well, this was different. Independent film was beginning. John Cassavetes, Jonas Mekas, Adolphus Mekas, of course, Stan Brakhage and the extraordinary avant-garde, but also Shirley Clark, making films. And it made us realize that if you had the passion's a word that also involves a madness, a compulsion, and if you get a few friends with you that you can convince to be with you along the way, you can make a film with new equipment that isn't studio-bound.
Donc, quand je dis que Shadows nous a montré la voie, c'était de dire qu'on n'était pas obligé d'aller à Hollywood. Et il y avait les frères Mekas, il y avait Shirley Clark, il y avait Stan Brakhage, et ce qui comptait pour nous, c'était la possibilité d'utiliser cette nouvelle technologie, ces nouveaux outils.
Add to that, I wasn't able, because my average was so bad at school, not bad, but pretty mediocre at school, and I couldn't get into the Jesuit colleges. And so I went to Washington Square College, which is now NYU, which was only 6 blocks west. And there, I discovered that they were giving courses in the history of cinema and the possibility of making short films or documentaries.
Donc mes notes et ma moyenne étaient mauvaises, donc j'avais pas les notes pour entrer dans une des universités jésuites. Donc on m'a envoyé à Washington Square College, qui est devenu l'université de New York, et là il y avait des cours sur l'histoire du cinéma.
And this is something that is was very unique, because what I found there really was this professor, a professor named Haig Manouchian, an Armenian American, who, because in my area where I was growing up, my parents and my friends, you don't make films. There was no way. They thought I was completely crazy. But this one man at this school really saw something, and he inspired me, and we eventually made these films, or short films, and then a feature there. But he was the one, between that priest and him, and my mother and father paying the tuition. Within 3 or 4 years, it changed.
Et donc là, j'ai rencontré un deuxième mentor, Hayden Manouchian, un professeur, parce que dans le milieu duquel j'étais issu, faire du cinéma, ça paraissait absurde. Mais lui, il a vu quelque chose en moi, et donc on a commencé à faire des courts-métrages, on a même fait un long-métrage. Et donc entre ces deux mentors, et bien sûr mentors, et aussi mes parents qui payaient le prix des cours.
And also, this is a very big difference in those 6 blocks. I came from a very conservative, almost medieval Sicilian village. When I go to NYU, for the first time, Armenians, Greeks, a lot of Greek friends who could not go back to Athens because of and it was a whole different world. And so, also, what's interesting is that you may have the desire to make the film, but are you ready to tell a story? What story do you want to tell? And those were the years. That's why I'm not so happy with the short films. And my first film, Who's That Knocking? They were not quite. Yeah, I was trying to reach. My grasp was farther than what I could really reach. It always has been, I think.
Et donc, l'université était à 6 pâtés de maison de chez moi, mais le monde duquel j'étais issu était un monde vraiment médiéval, sicilien. Évidemment, en arrivant à l'université, tout près, mais je rencontrais des gens issus d'autres mondes, beaucoup de Grecs, des Grecs qui ne pouvaient pas rentrer chez eux pour des raisons politiques. Et donc, là, on a commencé à faire des films, et la question se pose, est-ce qu'on est capable? Est-ce qu'on est mûr pour ça? Et c'est pour ça que je ne suis pas très content des premiers courts-métrages que j'ai faits.
No, the Greeks got me in so much trouble there.
J'ai beaucoup de problèmes avec les...
Yeah. No, but we became very close with my family, with the Sicilians, the Greeks, and the Armenians, and Jewish kids all together. It was wild.
Bon, les Siciliens, les Grecs, les Arméniens, on était tous ensemble, c'était incroyable.
Monsieur Scorsese, ce que vous avez dit à propos de John Cassavetes et Shadows, l'influence que ce film a eue sur vous, on pourrait dire, nous, en France, que c'est Rossellini qui a eu cette influence sur la future nouvelle vague. C'est-à-dire quelqu'un, un cinéaste, qui montre le chemin et qui dit à une autre génération plus jeune, c'est possible de faire du cinéma.
Oh, I believe so, yeah. I definitely believe so. I think what Cassavetes taught us, although you have to understand, as I say, I was still very much a young boy from the provinces, so to speak. So these were, world experienced actors, bohemians. I had no idea what they were really, what they were thinking, aside from that they were human beings and going through emotional and psychological traumas up there on the screen, and it was so immediate, you see. And I said, we could do that. I mean, if I could just articulate the emotion and the psychological issues, if I could articulate them. And that was the main thing. And then Shirley Clark, when she did The Cool World, it was shot a little differently. It's a tough question because there's no doubt he was the beacon for the whole American independent cinema, really. He was the one. It doesn't mean you had to make films like him, but he was the inspiration to actually think you can make a film.
Donc oui, certainement, et pour nous, c'était Cassavetes. C'était surtout ce qui nous a montré, c'est que c'était possible de mettre sur écran ses propres traumatismes personnels, ses émotions intimes, et encore qu'il fallait trouver un moyen d'expression, parce que moi, j'étais un garçon très provincial, et ces gens-là étaient une sorte de bohème, et j'étais pas en état de faire la même chose, mais la voix était là, et puis Shirley Clark, Cool World, qui était encore une autre mise en scène très différente, très important aussi.
Because the European cinema also was a major revelation, the French and the Italian cinema. And again, Rossellini opened the world again to a new kind of cinema with the Viaggio in Italia, which I had seen later on in the early 60s. And then with Louis XIV, which became a favorite, So he kept teaching in a way. The problem was, not really a problem, but one had to be realistic about who you are, because that's not my culture. I have to work within my own culture. It would be nice to be as cultured as that, but I'm not. So everything was more or less self-taught.
Donc pour nous aussi, Rossellini évidemment était très important. Voyage en Italie que je n'ai pas vu avant le début des années 60, puis après la prise de pouvoir de Louis XIV. Mais le cinéma européen en général, français, italien. Mais en même temps, il faut connaître ses propres limites. Je n'avais pas cette culture-là. Il faut savoir qui on est et travailler avec qui on est.
Donc vous avez commencé à faire du cinéma contre votre propre scénario d'enfance, quoi, un petit peu.
Yes, against my own, yeah. I couldn't complete this film, yes. As I mentioned the other day, budget problems. It got bigger.
Oui, ce film-là, j'ai jamais pu le finir. J'ai eu quelques problèmes.
Et tu as adopté une méthode qui est assez, à mon avis, assez unique. Tu dessines tes films avant de les mettre en image, avant de les tourner. Et alors, on s'en perçoit, on parle de cette affiche, de qualité de dessin, c'est assez exceptionnel. Et alors, est-ce que c'est nécessaire pour toi de le dessiner. C'est vrai que, vous savez, ce qu'on appelle les storyboards, que beaucoup de metteurs en scène utilisent, en général, on prend des spécialistes et au fur et à mesure, on l'explique, le metteur en scène explique exactement ce qu'il veut et il dessine. Martin le fait lui-même. C'est nécessaire pour toi, si j'ai bien compris.
Yes, it's essential for me to do my own. There's no doubt. Because when I did work with a storyboard artist on Cape Fear for the action sequence, which had about 250 shots, I had my own drawings, which were smaller at the time, and just notes. And I had to have them drawn by a storyboard artist so the whole crew could see the angle, and it was all special effects involved. And it was 2 or 3 passes. I had to keep going back. No, a lower angle. No, bring this way, a different lens, and that sort of thing. And also in The Aviator, the airplane crashes, the airplane scenes with Rob Legato, we did the same thing. So it's an extra step for me. And very often I find that some storyboard artists that I see now, I can't really speak generally about, but I caught a glimpse of some people's films, and they're actually telling the director which shot to take. Like, you need this, you need that, I don't know.
Ben oui, c'est indispensable pour moi de dessiner, et parfois on est quand même obligé, c'était le cas dans Les Nerfs à vif et dans une séquence d'aviateur, dans les séquences d'action, dans Les Nerfs à vif, 250 plans dans les séquences d'action, c'est indispensable de faire appel à des professionnels, des dessinateurs professionnels, pour que l'équipe sache très précisément de quoi il s'agit, mais même dans ce cas-là, je dois dessiner en amont. Et j'ai vu, je ne peux pas parler en termes trop généraux, mais j'ai quand même vu pas mal de dessinateurs professionnels de storyboard qui se permettent de dire aux réalisateurs quel plan ils devraient mettre, quel devrait être le découpage, et ça, c'est peut-être pas une bonne chose.
But this is important. I mean, it's very important that this is not the one way to make a film. This just happens to be what I feel most comfortable and the initial impulse to design something. Also, there are times when I'll go 10 pages blank of a script, of a story, an idea, and I'm not sure how to do it. And we get there and we, work with the actors and find it. And it's that balance I've been finding. There are many directors in Hollywood, I find, that talk of, yes, and they call it a laundry list of shots to get, but we don't do that. They say we look at the laundry list and throw it away and we shoot. I said, it's not a laundry list to me. It really means something. Even if it's just make sure you cover that I go for the glass. And invariably, I'll ruin that. I'm very bad with plot.
Donc, je ne veux pas non plus généraliser. Parfois, sur mes scénarios, il y a 10 pages sans dessin du tout. Et je ne sais pas, avant d'arriver dans le décor, comment je vais tourner, comment je vais découper. Mais quand les réalisateurs d'Hollywood parfois parlent d'une liste course pour parler de leur découpage d'une manière un peu péjorative, pour moi, ce n'est pas ça un découpage. C'est quand même quelque chose d'important.
And also, very often shots are designed, and I find I design them often for places with no ceiling. And then I choose a location where the ceiling is this. So then the idea of the shot has to be transformed and translated, you see, for the new location, and sometimes thrown out completely.
Et parfois, il m'arrive de dessiner un plan et de découvrir que j'ai dessiné pour une pièce sans plafond. Alors là, il faut tout repenser, tout changer quand on entre dans le décor.
Martin Scorsese, en France, on vous associe à ce qu'on appelle le nouvel Hollywood, avec Brian De Palma, avec Spielberg, George Lucas, Francis Coppola. Est-ce que pour vous, ça veut dire quelque chose d'appartenir à ce nouvel Hollywood? Et deuxième question, est-ce que pour vous, ce nouvel Hollywood, c'est un peu l'équivalent aux États-Unis de ce qu'a été pour nous la nouvelle vague en France?
Oh, no, It's difficult to answer the second part of that, but the first part, there was no doubt that we were there and everything was changing. Transitions were more than transitions. It was the destruction of the old system, the Hollywood studio systems. MGM had just been completely destroyed, basically, and that was a major shock. All the old studio bosses were dying off.
Clairement, c'était une période de grand bouleversement. MGM venait d'être démantelé. Les grands patrons historiques étaient en train de mourir.
It was sort of like the barbarians at the gates, as they say.
Les barbares aux portes de la ville.
We go in, pick up a statue, run away with it. You know.
On arrivait, on s'emparait des statues, on partait.
It was visceral and primal. You know, you smelled the blood and you went and got it.
C'était viscéral, très très primitif. On sentait le sang et on attaquait.
You know, there was a transitional group, and that is Francis Coppola and Bogdanovich and Friedkin. They were there. And also BBS with Dennis Hopper and the great Bob Rafelson and Peter Fonda and all of them. So that was a transitional group, but we had nothing to do with them. Coppola was a big help for me, Francis. He really, really helped me and introduced me to many people and lent me $5,000 to begin Mean Streets.
Donc, il y avait un groupe de transition, évidemment, Coppola et Bogdanovich et Friedkin, mais on n'avait pas grand-chose à faire avec eux. Et puis, il y avait autour de Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, ces gens-là. Donc, Coppola, oui, j'avais un contact avec lui. Il m'a prêté $5,000 pour pouvoir tourner Mean Street.
But Easy Rider, for example, is a film that everyone loves, but I didn't respond to it as much. I loved Dennis Hopper and what he did in it and everything. But they're from California.
Tout le monde
long hair and the motorcycle.
Tout le monde adore Easy Rider, mais moi, c'est pas un film qui m'a beaucoup parlé. C'est des gens de Californie, ils sont à moto, bon.
It's brilliant, but I don't. You know, when Jack Nicholson says, we blew it, I said, I know, I get what he means, but I don't get it, you know? I understand these guys, they're amazing, but I have nothing to do with it.
Quand Jack Nicholson dit on est foutu, je comprends ce qu'il veut dire et en même temps, ça ne me parle pas. Je comprends ces gens, ils sont incroyables, mais ils n'ont pas grand-chose à faire avec moi.
And then at that point, something happened. Bogdanovich's films didn't do well, and Friedkin did Sorcerer, which is a brilliant film, but it was destroyed by the press and the studios. Rafelson stopped making pictures, I think. Dennis Hopper did the last movie, and it wasn't. And so what was happening, that was dissipating too, and we were able to move in.
Et donc après, ces gens-là ont eu leurs échecs, Bogdanovich et Dennis Hopper et Friedkin avec Sorcerer. Et donc, ça nous a donné aussi l'occasion de monter au créneau.
And there were people at the studios, Warner Brothers, and specifically United Artists, Arthur Krim and Eric Pleskow, Mike Medavoy. These were the guys who were actually backing the filmmakers. Michael and Julia Phillips, the producers of Taxi Driver and The Sting, a major Hollywood film. Then they did Taxi Driver, and they also did Close Encounters of the Third Kind. These were the cutting edge in a way, and they were all willing to actually take major risks on certain individual vision. I don't use that word vision, but it's like an author in a way.
Et après, les studios aussi changeaient. Il y avait des gens à Warner Brothers et surtout à United Artists, des producteurs comme Mike et Julia Phillips qui ont produit Taxi Driver. Il y avait des grosses productions aussi hollywoodiennes comme The Sting qui étaient différentes. Donc ces gens-là étaient prêts à entrer dans le système des auteurs en quelque sorte.
So in a sense, we were certainly inspired by the Nouvelle Vague. That was the main thing. Nouvelle Vague, and of course, Antonioni and Fellini and Pasolini and Bellocchio and Bertolucci, you know. So all of this. But at the same time, I don't know if we ever thought of ourselves as a new wave in America. I know that we were called, in England, they call us the movie brats. That's English.
Et donc, oui, on était inspiré par la nouvelle vague française et aussi par les Italiens, par Fellini, Antonioni, Bellocchio, Bertolucci. Mais je ne pense pas qu'on puisse dire qu'on était, nous, une nouvelle vague américaine. En Angleterre, ils nous appelaient les salopards du cinéma. Bon, ça, c'est les Anglais.
Well, because we were all under 30, we're like 25, 26 years old, we all had beards. And that was De Palma, Spielberg, myself, Lucas, and we were called the Movie Brats because this myth grew that we learned how to make movies in school.
Et donc, on avait 25-26 ans, on était barbus, donc on nous appelait, oui, les enfants terribles du cinéma, parce que les gens ont inventé ce mythe qu'on avait tous appris à faire des films à l'école.
And you have to understand, I mean, you're talking to Billy Wilder, André de Toth, William Wyler, George Cukor, Kazan, and they look at you and say, we didn't have to go to school to learn to make a film, you know.
Et donc, il faut se rappeler qu'on avait affaire à Cukor, à William Wyler, à Billy Wilder, à André de Toth, et qui nous regardaient, qui nous disaient, mais nous, on n'a pas appris le cinéma à l'école.
And so they misunderstood. I mean, even for them to think that you can go to a school to learn how to make a movie, that's outrageous. They're real pros in theater, in literature, often, and music, and they're pros. What do you go to school? What is this? It's a whole new thing coming in. We just do our work.
Et donc, pour eux, c'était vraiment scandaleux. Ils étaient des professionnels de la littérature, du théâtre. C'était quoi cette idée d'apprendre le cinéma à l'école? Nous, on travaille.
And so we sort of, not resented it, but it's a misunderstanding. I think a lot of it was because we were very young and we had beards. Billy Wilder even used a line in a movie that he made that I liked, a lot of people liked, but was never even released in America, called Fedora. Yes, where William Holden tells the actress he's trying, it's like Sunset Boulevard, he tells her, it's all different in Hollywood. You don't understand, the kids with the beards have taken over.
Billy Wilder en parle même dans un film que j'aime beaucoup, qui n'est pas sorti aux États-Unis, Fedora. Il dit, il y a une réplique dans le film où il dit, vous comprenez pas, le cinéma a été pris par les barbus.
I mean, and by the way, Billy Wilder was great with me, and but what was great about Wilder was not only his extraordinary intelligence and wit and his artistry, but his his interesting way of just telling you the truth, whether you like to hear it or not.
Il faut dire que Billy Wilder a été génial avec moi, et ce qui était incroyable, c'était qu'il avait une façon de vous dire la vérité, qu'elle soit agréable ou pas à entendre.
But not mean-spirited. There's a big difference.
Mais sans esprit tordu ou chagrin.
So for us, the Nouvelle Vague could not be, how should we say, it was something very special. We didn't really think we could ever come near to regard ourselves as a movement, in a way, like the Nouvelle Vague. I mean, it was something, especially when some of the filmmakers were coming over to America and make films in England. And so this was something that, I'm not saying we weren't egotistical, but at the same time, we're not the Nouvelle Vague, I can tell you.
Donc, pour nous, la Nouvelle Vague, c'est quelque chose de très impressionnant, mais je ne pense pas qu'on pensait, nous, être une école dans ce sens-là. C'est pas dire qu'on n'était pas très, très égoïste, mais on n'avait pas ce sentiment-là.
And one of the great things about the Nouvelle Vague was appreciation of American cinema. That when we were at, in 1960 or 62, we were told all American films were bad. The only films you should see are by Bergman, all the Nouvelle Vague, Fellini, Antonioni, you could see those. And there was even a film class that was being given at NYU where the instructor, the teacher, was showing films or telling the students to see films by Bergman and by Fellini and other films that were based on books only. You see, only films that were based on great literature. And then I said, what are you talking about? It's not a film. The book is the book, the film is the film. It's different.
Donc, la Nouvelle Vague a fait quelque chose d'important pour nous, c'est qu'ils nous ont appris à autoriser à aimer le cinéma américain, parce qu'il faut se souvenir qu'en 60-62, à New York, on nous disait que le cinéma américain était entièrement mauvais, qu'il fallait juste regarder Bergman, Antonioni, Fellini. Il y avait même un cours à l'université de New York où on nous disait qu'il fallait que regarder les films qui étaient adaptés de livres, mais c'est pas la même chose. Le film et le livre est le livre.
And one other thing about that is that I tell him, I said, why do you want to study the Bergman film? It's around the corner. Go see it. And go again. And go again. That's what you do. Don't go there and write. You know? So I said, let's talk about other kinds of films. I said, these we know. And we were so, at times too, now we look back, and Bergman would make a film a year. So, another Bergman. So it was an amazing time. The Nouvelle Vague, 2, 3 films by the same director every year. And they were just coming over. And at a certain point, it was oversatiated, you know.
Donc, moi, je leur disais, mais pourquoi vous voulez étudier Bergman, écrire sur Bergman? Il y a un Bergman qui passe à côté, il suffit d'aller le voir 1 fois, 2 fois, 3 fois. Mais c'était une époque incroyable parce que les réalisateurs de la Nouvelle Vague sortaient 2, 3 films la même année à New York. Les gens faisaient un film par an. L'époque était incroyablement riche.
So I was asked to take over that class, which I did. And I started showing films by Jerry Lewis and Vincent Minnelli and Nicholas Ray.
Et donc, on m'a donné le cours à reprendre et j'ai commencé à montrer des films Jerry Lewis, de Nicholas Ray, de Vincent Minnelli.
And Abe Polanski, Force of Evil, Polanski with John Garfield. So I was about a different kind of appreciation of not just cinema from Sweden and from other parts of the world, but also American cinema as viewed by and indicated by Paris.
Et donc, moi, j'ai voulu réapprendre à regarder le cinéma américain comme Paris nous avait appris à le faire.
62, c'est l'année où Truffaut va rencontrer Hitchcock, d'ailleurs, pour faire le fameux livre d'entretien.
Yeah.
C'est
right.
tout à fait le moment où il va, lui, expliquer aux Américains pourquoi Hitchcock est un maître, quoi.
Yeah. No, Hitchcock was considered not to be taken seriously at all. And yet we kept going back and seeing his films. He was a franchise, what they used the word today, franchise, which means every year there was another Hitchcock.
Personne ne prenait Hitchcock au sérieux, il était franchisé. Il y avait un film par an, c'était une franchise, comme on dirait aujourd'hui.
You know, Vertigo opens up, nobody goes to see it. The critics didn't like it. I saw it in VistaVision, by the way, at the Capitol Theater in New York. It was amazing.
Mais tu restes à New York, et tu es toujours à New York. Tu avais toutes les occasions de t'installer à Hollywood, comme l'ont fait beaucoup des metteurs en scène de ta génération, mais tu restes à New York. Les grandes compagnies américaines, les majors, te proposent des films. Tu travailles pour eux, mais tu restes à New York. Et tu dis à un moment donné, d'ailleurs, je crois que c'est la vérité, demande-moi si ce n'est pas vrai, tu as dit que j'ai essayé d'être metteur en scène hollywoodienne et je n'ai pas réussi.
Yes, it's true. I did not succeed. I learned it in 1985 or 84, where I felt more comfortable going back to an independent cinema, like La Nuit de Galère, is that what it's called here, After Hours? Yeah. And so, as much as I admire and thrive on films that come from Hollywood or came from Hollywood, and had fantasies of making westerns and musicals, and they never turned out that way. They never turned out like the old films. They didn't. And I disappointed myself with that. I said, maybe I'm not disappointed. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. My musicals were extremely unhappy. New York, New York was a very, very difficult relationship. And that's so, in other words, there was a split, I think. So much so that I rarely used original scores because that was the traditional Hollywood way. I had to use it in Taxi Driver with Bernard Herrmann because the character did not listen to music. There was no music in his life. And I loved Bernard Herrmann music, and he was able to do the score. But what I mean is that whenever I tried to do something that was not from me or that I could find myself in, like a real pro, I'm not. I don't want to be there. I have to enjoy it. You know, even if I'm complaining, I'm enjoying it. You know, but if you have to work for somebody else and do that, why? I just didn't. I don't mean to be arrogant about it, but I look back at 50 years, 45 years, and I'm still in a sense a person who's back against the wall. Anybody comes in, punch back, and then okay. So in a way, there's no. Brian De Palma used to tell me, there's no amount of money in the world worth it. The best thing to do is make it for no money.
Donc oui, j'ai essayé, j'ai raté d'être un cinéaste d'Hollywood. Je l'ai appris en 84-85 à l'époque de After Hours, que j'étais vraiment quelqu'un du cinéma indépendant, que j'avais besoin d'être mon propre maître, de ne pas travailler pour les autres. Il y a un indice de ça, c'est que je n'ai jamais réussi à utiliser une bande originale, à faire écrire la musique de mes films par un compositeur spécialement, à part Taxi Driver justement, où j'ai été obligé de le faire parce que le personnage n'écoutait pas de musique, et donc j'ai fait appel à Bernard Herrmann, et j'aimais beaucoup sa musique, et c'était une collaboration heureuse. Mais sinon, travailler pour le système des studios, par exemple New York, ça a été une expérience très très malheureuse. Et comme me l'a dit Brian De Palma, il n'y a aucun argent qui vaille le coup, il vaut mieux avoir moins d'argent.
Well, what he means is that it really isn't something you do. People can do it, but I found out I wasn't one to be able to deliver what they want. I don't know if I can. Usually it's something else entirely. Even The Departed, the gangster film I made in 10 years ago or 9 years ago, the studio wanted something different. But they told me they didn't at first. Then I came in the door, and they locked the door. And I'm not doing it again. And they actually were very nice people, too, at the studio, Alan Horn. And I said, no, I can't do this anymore. Family things, personal issues. I said, you just wind up dead, you know. Yeah.
Alors, il y a des gens qui arrivent de travailler dans le système hollywoodien, de leur donner ce qu'ils veulent, mais moi, tout simplement, je ne peux pas le faire. Ça ne marche jamais. Je l'ai appris. Je l'ai appris quand j'ai tourné The Departed, le film de gangster que j'ai fait. Les gens des studios sont très sympathiques, mais ils voulaient une chose et moi, je ne pouvais pas leur donner ce qu'ils voulaient, donc j'ai fini par le leur dire, pour des raisons de famille. Moi, je vais mourir si ça continue.
Je vais vous poser une question à propos d'une manière générale, mais aussi surtout à propos de Taxi Driver. Il est important pour vous le son dans votre film d'une manière générale et d'une manière plus particulière la musique. Alors je vous propose de faire attention à la musique et au son de ce film-là qui était surprenant. Moi j'ai vu ce film à Cannes, j'étais au jury du festival, il a eu la palme sans discussion même, et on était stupéfaits tous par la qualité de l'ensemble, du tournage, film, de la musique, du son, des dialogues qui étaient tout à fait nouveaux parce qu'ils utilisaient des mots, comme vous allez voir, que les films américains n'utilisaient jamais avant, enfin des phrases très très dures. Alors comment ça a été facile pour faire passer cela? Parce que c'était vraiment presque une petite révolution pour le cinéma. Je parle des dialogues là, du scénario lui-même.
Yes, no, it was a big problem. That was one of the toughest fights I've ever had with the studio and with, the ratings board. I had no final cut, and I was dismissed in the meeting at Columbia. They said, it's going to get an X rating. Cut it for an R, or we cut it. That was the meeting. I was with Julia Phillips, and we left the room, and I had no way of responding. I behaved very badly. She's the one, she and Michael Phillips, they were able to maneuver and work it all out. At that time, to tell you the truth, Eric Pleskow of United Artists said, we'll buy the film sight unseen with an X. And they wouldn't do that. Columbia wouldn't do it. And that began a process. I'll explain quickly if you want to translate that part.
Donc, ça a été très très problématique avec le studio. Je n'avais pas le final cut. Il y a eu un rendez-vous. Ils ont dit c'est pas possible ce montage. Le film va être interdit aux moins de 18 ans. Il faut refaire le montage pour avoir un statut à la censure de moins de 13 ans. Ils m'ont, comme je n'avais pas le final cut, ils m'ont simplement sorti de la pièce. La chose a été résolue après par mes producteurs, Mike et Julia Phillips, et d'ailleurs Eric Pleskow de la United Artists a proposé à la Columbia tout simplement de racheter le film et de le montrer tel qu'il était, avec l'interdiction probable aux moins de 18 ans, et la Columbia a refusé.
But the real Pat Brown, Jerry Brown's father, Jerry Brown became the governor of California. His father, Pat Brown, he came and he defended the film because the big element there, they were concerned, was that when Jodie Foster played the part, she was 12 years old. And that was another thing that we thought, she's such a great actress, what's the problem? I don't know why, but because I had worked with Jodie on Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. And it was suggested, and I said, she'd be great, fine, let's do it. I also mentioned earlier that it was such a work of passion and belief in the script that Paul Schrader had written, and De Niro, all three of us really believed in it so much that I didn't believe people would really even see the film that much. It would just be released, and maybe we'd make like a big musical afterwards, or another kind of epic film. But it had to be done. So I didn't think anyone was really going to see it, so we just let it play. Language, violence, and ultimately, I was with Steve Spielberg last week at the Directors Guild in New York, talking about his new film, Bridge of Spies, and he brought up, he said, remember what you did with the color at the end. We drained the color out in the shootout, which that and some adjustments, some trims, of some of the blood and violence in it. No trims in dialogue, interestingly enough. No cuts. But some trims in the violence there, and drained the color out to the type of color that I liked in Moby Dick. John Huston and Oswald Morris did this kind of desaturation. And I wanted to do the whole film that way. And I said, well, look, let me do that. It'll take the tone down. But I like to think that it made it more vibrant. It made it more like a tabloid newspaper, which is what I grew up with.
Et donc, il y avait un gros problème aussi avec l'âge de Jodie Foster, qui avait 12 ans. Et là, on a été défendu par Pat Brown, le gouverneur de Californie, père du gouverneur Jerry Brown aussi. Et la question, on en parlait à la Directors Guild avec Steven Spielberg la semaine dernière. Il m'a rappelé ce que j'avais fait, cette idée de désaturer la couleur du film. C'est quelque chose que je voulais faire sur tout le film à un moment, inspiré du Moby Dick de John Huston, l'image d'Oswald Morris. L'idée était de donner à la fois, j'ai dit au studio, ils m'ont demandé très peu de coupes, juste des coupes sur la violence. Aucune réplique n'a été coupée, mais juste pour un peu estomper à la fin l'impact de l'image. Mais c'était aussi pour donner, moi je trouvais, une qualité un peu tabloïde aux images, comme celle des journaux à sensation avec lesquels j'avais grandi.
It was almost like when Michael Chapman was the cinematographer, and we talked about Ouija. Ouija was this great photographer in New York, and if you grew up with the New York tabloids, the Daily News and the Daily Mirror, these pictures were on the front page that he shot, and we said this is Ouija in a combination. We were doing Ouija and David Hockney, actually. We were some ideas of Hockney in black and white, but only in color. We were doing it in color. And one of the key things I remember growing up of one of the front pages of the Daily News was a young man being killed in a robbery because he went in with a gun and he pulled it and then they shot him. And he was sprawled out on the floor of this shop that he was trying to rob. And he was the son of the lady across the way who ran the luncheonette. And I would see him every day. But there he was on the front page, dead, dead, shot, because they took a gun in for the robbery. Never should have taken the gun.
Avec Michael Chapman qui a fait l'image, notre grande inspiration était celle du photographe Ouija, qui était un photographe de faits divers. Et notre idée était de donner ce sentiment du noir et blanc, mais en couleur, à travers la couleur. Et un impact énorme pour moi était une du New York News, qui était un journal où, à sensation, il y avait une photo d'un braquage raté. Le jeune type était dans une mare de sang en première page, et c'était le fils de la dame qui tenait la cafétéria en face de chez nous. Il ne faut jamais utiliser une arme à feu quand on va braquer un magasin.
So this kind of life was in the newspapers, but it was the life that we were living. Yeah.
Donc la vie qu'on voit, elle était dans les journaux, mais c'était le quotidien du quartier.
So I didn't know any other way to do it. to stylize it. I didn't quite know. And so I just did it the way I experienced it. I remember, too much. I can't get into it.
Il m'aurait été impossible de styliser pareille chose.
Vous disiez tout à l'heure en présentant Taxi Driver dans les deux autres salles de la Cinémathèque que la ville de New York à l'époque, en 1975, était vraiment une ville dirty, vraiment sale, noire, dangereuse. Est-ce que ça n'a pas, au fond, servi votre film, que la ville soit si négative d'une certaine manière, pour que le personnage en devienne un héros?
Well, yes, I didn't know any other. I didn't know any other vibe in a way. That's why when I said I went 6 blocks west to Greenwich Village, it was a big difference. People were friendlier, and yeah, Little Italy was tough. It was a tough place, and it was also just where I grew up. The families were great, but the organized crime. But aside from that, it was the Bowery with all les clochards. Everybody, everywhere, like dead bodies. And crazy, like zombies coming at you. If you were 10 years old or 8 years old, these men and women coming at you, frightening. And so that's how I grew up. So it left a major impression on me. And so the city has always been that way. Sometimes we go uptown to the museums, and we'd see paintings, and we'll go up to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the statues by Rodin, the ballet statues, and we were amazed. And we knew there was a world out there, and we had to find it.
Mais moi, je ne connaissais pas d'autre monde, pas d'autre atmosphère que celle-là. C'était l'atmosphère dans laquelle j'avais grandi. Après, comme j'ai dit, l'université était à 6 pâtés de maison, mais c'était très différent. C'était Greenwich Village. Moi, j'ai grandi à Little Italy. Les familles étaient merveilleuses. Bon, il y avait la pègre, mais il y avait aussi tout près le quartier de Bowery ou le quartier des clochards. Et ces gens vous abordaient comme des zombies à 8 ans ou 10 ans. Ça faisait très très peur, ça m'a marqué. Évidemment, il nous arrivait d'aller uptown, voir les musées, voir les statues de Rodin au Metropolitan Museum. On savait que ce monde-là existait, mais ce n'était pas le nôtre.
Qu'est-ce qui fait que ce film est devenu un mythe dans le cinéma? Taxi Driver. Il a une part de mythologie pour nous aujourd'hui.
I think if it is mythical, I think it's the power of what Schrader felt when he had to write that script. And I know he told me, and I know what he did. Before he really took me seriously at all, because De Palma introduced me to him and gave me the script of Taxi Driver. And Paul had just written Ozu, Bresson, and Dreyer, Transcendental Cinema. And of course, I hadn't really seen an Ozu film yet. I knew Dreyer, and I loved Bresson, and he was very much, Paul, an intellectual of that level. So meeting me, I hadn't made Mean Streets yet, so he didn't take me seriously at all. But when he saw Mean Streets, it changed. And that's when he allowed the possibility of me directing it, as long as De Niro was in it. That was the selling point for a film which they gave very, very little money for, by the way, at that time. But I do think it's what Paul was going through when he wrote it. And I know he had a gun on the table, I think, and I know there were knife markings all over his table. And I inherited the table. I don't know where it is now.
Je pense que la puissance du film vient de ce que traversait Schrader au moment où il l'écrivait. Je sais qu'il l'a écrit avec un pistolet sur la table, que la table était striée de coups de couteau. En tout cas, il me l'a dit, j'ai hérité de la table, je ne sais pas où elle est aujourd'hui. Il ne m'a pas pris très au sérieux. C'est Brian De Palma qui m'avait présenté, mais je n'avais rien fait. Lui venait d'écrire Ozu, Bresson, Dreyer. Moi, j'avais vu des Dreyer, mais je n'avais pas vu d'Ozu. Après, quand j'ai fait Mean Street, il a commencé à me prendre plus au sérieux. Mais le budget était tout petit de ce film.
But you have to understand, I mean, so entrusting somebody with this special work was something very, very, very special. And the fact that De Niro felt the same way was something unique. And De Niro never really spoke, we never really there's always pictures of us talking, but we're usually talking about dinner or other things. We're not articulate that way about what people feeling and think. We just knew it. And once he saw Mean Streets with De Niro and myself together, he felt confident. And at the same time, he and his brother Leonard, I think, they were the highest paid screenwriters in Hollywood at the time. And he was just about to start to direct his own films. Otherwise, I guess he would have directed Taxi Driver, but he hadn't directed yet.
Je pense que c'est ce qui compte, c'est cette puissance, enfin le cadeau précieux qu'il m'a fait en me donnant ce scénario tellement passionné, et ensuite aussi la confiance qu'il avait dans la relation entre moi et De Niro après Mean Streets. De Niro et moi, on s'est très peu parlé, on nous montre toujours dans les photos en train de se parler, mais en fait, on parle du repas à venir, de ce qu'il y a à faire, et on n'était pas des gens qui formulaient les choses en mots.
But also, I think the power hits a certain age, I think, of young people all over the world, actually. I was in Beijing in 1984, and there was some people we were meeting, some drinks or something, part of a symposium I was at. And this was a special time to go to Beijing and China. We were talking about it the other night, that people were still wearing the Mao jackets and there were bicycles. And I was with a number of other excellent filmmakers. And there was a young boy following me around, a Mongolian kid, who must have been about 21 or 22. And he had seen Taxi Driver. And he kept asking about it and asking another question. I kept answering and walking away. And then finally he says, but what do you do with the loneliness?
Je pense aussi que la puissance du film est une question de l'âge. On arrive à un âge où la puissance est là. Je peux raconter une anecdote. En 84, j'étais invité à une conférence. On était plusieurs cinéastes à Pékin. Et il y avait un jeune Mongol de 21 ans qui me suivait partout. Il avait vu Taxi Driver. Il n'arrêtait pas de me poser des questions. Et finalement, il m'a dit, mais la solitude, qu'est-ce qu'on en fait?
But also, Paul Schrader, very serious Calvinist. I was still strongly involved with the Roman Catholic Church in a way, and so these themes of who we are and what are we doing here, his particular issue with predestination was really interesting. We'd argue about that, but we came from the same place, I think, in a way, about religion or the sense of what life is and what we're doing here.
Et je crois un autre facteur très important, Paul Schrader est un calviniste qui vient d'un milieu calviniste très convaincu. Moi, j'étais encore très proche de l'Église catholique. Il y a toute la question de la prédestination est importante. On en parlait beaucoup. Et en tout cas, on partageait cette interrogation sur qu'est-ce qu'on fait ici sur cette planète.
Yeah, he wants to change. He wants to clean the world like an avenging angel and make things right.
Il veut purifier le monde. C'est un ange exterminateur. Il veut que tout soit bien.
Je voudrais vous poser une dernière question, peut-être, Martin Scorsese. Vous avez évoqué à l'instant devant tout le monde à la fois votre passion du cinéma des autres et votre passion de faire des films. Et chez vous, ça n'est jamais... C'est une question... Jamais l'amour des films des autres ne vous a paralysé pour faire les vôtres. Comment vous expliquez cette dualité créative chez vous?
Well, it sometimes, yes. I mean, in the sense that I'll look at, shooting Goodfellas. I come home at 6 in the morning, and there's the trial, Orson Welles, on TV.
Ça arrive.
What are you doing?
Je tournais Les Affranchis, il y avait le procès d'Orson Welles à la télévision, mais voilà, ça m'a bloqué. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire?
Yeah. Then there's, I go back, I'm at an award ceremony a couple of years ago for Hugo Cabret, and with my wife Helen, and they're showing clips from the best films of the year, etc. And I looked away at one point. There was my film and a whole bunch of pictures. I forget what they are now. And then I looked back. I saw something. I said, what's that? And she goes, that's Warhorse. I said, wow, what an image. She was one of this incredible, what a solid, beautiful image. And then I'm shooting Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm in a hotel somewhere, and I don't know. And I get back, it's late at night, and television's on, I have news playing, and there's an ad for a movie or something, and I just turned away. And when I looked back, I saw this image. It was so extraordinary. I thought it was so very simple image. And I said, why? I said to myself, why even continue? Look at what they're doing now. And it turns out it was Lincoln. It was Spielberg again. So, you know, but then I went to sleep, got up, went back.
Donc oui, bien sûr, j'étais à une cérémonie de prix et tout d'un coup, je vois, pour Hugo Cabret, je vois une image de War Horse. Je me dis, c'est la densité, la force de cette image, c'est incroyable. J'étais en train de tourner, je rentre à l'hôtel, j'allume la télévision. Il y a une image, tout d'un coup, elle m'arrête, elle me saisit. C'est une image de Lincoln. Alors évidemment.
But I must say, it goes through my head every day. I think of it. I think it's more important. What I have to say, I think it's more important. My support and sharing the enthusiasm for other people's cinema than my own films. I say that now after it's all over, because we're at the end now. I'm 72. I'll be 73. Who knows what's going to happen? You know, I look back. I say, wow, it's amazing. That I even got to make these things, but they're not the films that I admired. I'm not, you know, Howard Hawks or John Ford or any of the Nouvelle Vague or any of the guys. I'm not, and I don't for many different reasons. And I had to be content, and it's a little hard sometimes to be content with who you are and what you can do.
Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, ma passion pour le cinéma des autres et peut-être ce qui compte le plus, mais c'est facile à dire aujourd'hui que tout est fini, j'ai 72, presque 73 ans, et quelquefois je regarde tous les films que j'ai faits et je me dis, mais comment ça a été possible que j'ai pu faire tout ça? Mais en même temps, c'est pas le cinéma de Howard Hawks, c'est pas la nouvelle vague, je le sais, je suis juste pas parmi ces gens-là.
Un dernier mot sur le film. Est-ce que tu as jamais pensé la carrière qu'a fait cette réplique « Are you talking to me ?»
Oh, no, but
Elle est connue à travers le monde.
that I must tell you, Are You Talking to Me is around the world. And the thing was, it was De Niro's improvisation, because I said in the script, it's not in the script, it's the only thing we improvised, really. A couple of improvisations, that was the main one. And I asked him, it was the last 2 days of shooting, and we were always behind schedule, it was crazy. And I said, you got to, when you look in the mirror, you're playing with the gun and you're, you know, behaving as if you're, I said, so don't you think you should say something? He goes, yeah, but what can I say? I said, I don't know. He called Paul Schrader. He didn't really have much of an idea either. And it just developed as you see it in the film. And I was at his feet watching him, and he kept saying, "You talking to me?" And I said, "Do it again." And he just kept repeating and repeating it and repeating it, you know, because I'm the only one here. I said, absolutely.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. Please.